Hey people, I'm Benjamin Cornelius and this is The Road to Sigmar. Today I want to talk a little bit about hobby, an event I went to, and my second game I played. So if you like what you see here, please give me a like and subscribe and share it with your friends. I'm also on Twitter at Benjamin272727 and on Instagram at Benjamin2727. I know that's annoying. Lots of 27s. Let's get into this. Alright, so here we are, episode 2. Got me a backdrop off Amazon, and it's real wrinkly. Don't know if I like it. We'll see. It'll work for today. And next step is maybe get some lights and then maybe some sort of sound recording. I think my diffuser on my light, my makeshift diffuser, is falling off. Not that it's working real great. There's a real bright halo here. Doesn't matter. Booyah! Okay, before I get started, I want to talk about all this craziness that's going on with 40K. GW is being real liberal with some rules. Now, real liberal compared to how they usually are. They're giving us how the shooting is going to work, how the combat phase is going to work, how the charging phase is going to work. This is real exciting stuff for someone who's played 40K for a long time, and for someone who's been in Games Workshop for any length of time. I know I've talked to a few people who are just getting into Games Workshop stuff, and they're like, well, this company seems really awesome, but they haven't been exactly forthcoming with information in the past, right? So this is a real exciting time to be in Games Workshop. I was kind of making a prediction the other day that maybe they'll add, I think there's a lot of new players going to come into this thing, and I want to be prepared for that. I'm super stoked about the excitement level on the internet that I've seen. I have seen some negativity, but hey, we got to give people, some time to really be okay with this. A lot of people were hurt over, when Age of Sigmar started, because people have a lot invested in this. So I want to be aware of that. People have a lot of money tied up in the models, a lot of money tied up in the books. If the books are not, usable anymore, so that's a lot of money. I mean, you still got a lot out of them, right? We get a lot out of there's a ton to read in all of the books, beautiful material. But at the same time, if they're gonna, make it all invalid in a few months, then that really sucks. So I understand why some people are angry about it, but I'm super excited. I'm real excited to get, my Night Lords on the table, and really, maybe a Land Raider is going to be not blown off the table first turn. And, there's a lot of units that I don't necessarily get to use because they're not optimal. Now, in Apocalypse games and narrative games, you use them a little more, but even there, when your Spartan gets shot off the table in first turn, you're just, and all your, you have 25 Bloodletters in there that aren't really going to do much. It's just not as fun. So hopefully some of these rules are going to combat that. And what I've seen with Age of Sigmar, where I'm actually using Bloodthirsters, not that I've played a lot of it yet, but I have watched a few games, which I'll talk about in a minute. But I'm super pumped about 40K, and that's nothing new, but this is getting me really excited. So enough about that. Let's talk about some hobby. What I've been doing. So I already have a ton of Khornate stuff. I have 2 Bloodthirsters built and one that I need to get put together. I have a lot of Khorne stuff. So what I did for my birthday was I got 3 boxes of Khorne starter kits, the Demons of Khorne army starter boxes. So what that comes with is 10 Bloodletters, a Skull Cannon / Blood Throne, and 3 Blood Crushers in each box. So I made a Herald riding a Blood Crusher, or a Herald riding a Juggernaut. I made a herald from one of the blood throne kits into a blood secretor, because that seems good. Not having played many many games, this is all like I'm like math hammering, trying to figure out what I want to do, so I can start getting some paint on some models. Because I really don't like to play with too much plastic, bare plastic. I like to play with painted models, but not knowing even how the game works yet. That's it's real vague. So trying to figure that out. So yeah, I've got a ton of blood letters put together. I already had 40. That added 30 more. I'm wanting to have like 80 or 90 just so I can play games like that. We'll see. 80 seems a good number. 8's a corn number, so that would be cool to have 80. But yeah, so I'm starting to get all that together. It's a long process. I got to really wait until the kids go to bed. My wife usually goes to bed, and then I can kind of start getting my hour or so of hobby. The 1 hour of hobby, 1 hour a night Facebook group has been pretty awesome, because it's, everyone's trying to trudge forward in their war against the bare plastic miniatures. So my stuff's almost built, and then once I have it built, my plan of attack is to prime it all black, and then start working on bases. I would like to get my bases fully painted, and then attach the black primed model, and then I can brush out all the things I need to do. I do have an airbrush. I'm not the best with it yet, and with my I've been trying a few different color schemes with different blood letters. So I think I got what I want. It's more of like a white, which I'm a little scared of, but I'm going for it. And with some real shiny brass armor, and black, and yeah, I think it's gonna look cool. So my bases, what I've done is I have a lot of blood letters on 25 mils, which now they're on 32 mils, which is awesome, because I think the bigger bases make the models look so good. When they switched over Space Marines from 25 to 32, I thought it gives you a lot of room to play with the actual basing material, and they don't seem like they're trying to straddle the base so much. So I love it. I think the blood letters look great on it. Of course, I wish you could get more ranked up and get more into combat, because that seems like the thing that you're losing there with that 7 mils of space on the base. But as far as the look of the army, I think it's beautiful, and the table presence. I mean, you have 30 blood letters in a unit, you're taking up some space on the table. So I'm real excited about them being on that. But it's going to take some work, so what I did was went on eBay and ordered some MDF bases that are 32 mil, and I'm going to get those. I ordered 50 of them for $10, so those things are super cheap. I also want to get some of those movement trays, because if I do have big units of blood letters, I want to get those painted up to kind of match the bases, and then also so you can move them forward easily. Because those big units, you don't want to, especially in an event, you want to move forward in the game, and I think that those movement trays would be helpful. To keep it moving. So what I'm gonna do is, I've tried it before. I had some dogs that had these bases on them, and some of my demons from my Corn Demonkin army in 40k. But I'll put clay. I want to magnetize them all, so I'll drill a hole actually through the MDF, so it doesn't have that weird pucker. I don't know if you even know what I'm talking about, but when you drill just a little bit into it, it kind of puckers the other side. So what I'll do is I'll drill a hole through it, and then I will cover the top with self-hardening clay, so I don't have to bake it. But then I'll carve. My plan is to carve chaos arrows into the base, and then once I start on that, I can get that Agrellan Earth, which is the technical paint from GW, that it gives it like a crackle effect, kind of alligatory, so it looks like dry earth or whatever, and put that over it so it gives it that, and then I can paint my browns and give it some tone, and then wash it, and then I'm going to fill all of the cracks that are the chaos symbols with blood, because that seems good, as much blood as possible with the demons. But then with that, the dark cracked earth base with the the grayish white bloodletters and demons on top of it, I think it's gonna really pop. Like I said in the first time, I'm not like a golden demon. I'm not like super the best painter, and I'm really excited to like challenge myself in this and see where it goes. Right now, it's a lot of cleaning mold lines, which is real boring work, but I'm getting there. I've got a lot of models cleaned up and put together, and so I'm gonna keep trudging forward in that. And I'm hoping in the next few months I'll have at least tabletop standard, and I kind of have a plan for that to where I'm gonna paint in layers. So I'll paint some of the skin, I'll get like all the base coats done, and then I can go back through and really add those layers so I can play with a tabletop standard and then kind of bring it up a little past that. We'll see how all that goes. Maybe I'll get distracted and start painting something else. Let's hope not. So that's hobby. All right, let's talk about this event I went to. I went to the Broadside Bash here in San Diego. I've heard about this event for years. I follow a lot of the different podcasts and Twitter, and I try to keep up with, even when I'm not playing and when I've had to take breaks because of having little hobby killers and having a family. It takes a lot of your time, but I've tried to keep up with that, what's going on out there. I've never really got to go to events because living in Oklahoma, there were a few small like RTTs, little, one-day tournament type things. There's some of that stuff. So there's a lot more like Garage Hammer is what I was a part of. Right before I left, there was the tournament up in Tulsa, which was an ITC event that was pretty great. Those guys did a really good job. The Iron Halo was what it was called, and it was real fun. We got to go to a hotel. I stayed there and played 2 days of games, and man, I really enjoyed that. But as far as like events that I've heard of that are multiple gaming systems going at once, Broadside Bash is the biggest thing that I've been to so far. I didn't play in the event, but the guy I played with my first game of AOS, he was actually running the Age of Sigmar tournament there. So I texted him and asked him if he needed any help, because I want to be a part of the community, and I know that sometimes running these type of things, it takes a lot. He probably didn't need me when it came down to it. He asked if I could come, and I was gonna, if someone dropped, I was gonna play the ringer, which would have been real fun. I would have got 3 more games in, and that would have been exciting. But I'm more excited that they got no one dropped, and it was a full roster and 32 players of Age of Sigmar. It was pretty fun to watch. Lots of good drinks. Lots of happy people. It seemed like a really well-run tournament. They were using he was using an app to record the games, and that seemed like the simplest thing to run that I've seen. And from what I've heard, like, he had no hiccups. And Age of Sigmar, rules-wise, is pretty simple. There was the disputes were never about the actual game. They were more like questions on how the scenarios played out, which I thought was really interesting. Which always seems to be the most difficult part. People, especially Garage Hammer, the games that I've played, it's not. Sometimes people just want to show up, drink some beers, and smash into each other and not think about the mission. But the mission's super important, and especially in a tournament setting, that's what you're playing towards. It's not just how many models you can kill, it's more how you can win the mission and how you can score the most points. But this went really smooth, and I only heard a few people asking questions, not arguing. I didn't run into anyone that was arguing, but I got to watch a lot of really good games. Got to see some really great display boards and really well painted stuff. There's there's some incredible talent that came to this. Then there was 32 players in Age of Sigmar. There was 46 players in 40k and 12 players in 30k, which those 30k armies were absolutely incredible. I don't even know how those guys do it. Those armies looked phenomenal. I was really itching to play all day. I only stayed for the Saturday night, for the Saturday. And then, but I spent all day just like watching and paying attention and trying to see what was good and how the game's actually played, because I've only played 2 games this far. And so I've got a lot to learn. Competitive play hasn't been my what I've been about, because I haven't been a part of scenes that really focus in on that. I would love to play some narrative games as well, and even go to some narrative events. Maybe even figure out some sort of one-day narrative event situation to be a part of, because that would be really fun to figure out, because I haven't seen that either. I put on some Apocalypse games in 40k back in Oklahoma, and that was always a lot of fun. And he moving through it and adding some crazy rules, because everything needs to die in that. But I grew up playing D&D, and I grew up playing RPGs, so that stuff's, it's down in that. It's in my blood. I wanna see. I'd love to see a narrative an event and see how that's all run. I want to make some based lists and figure out how to really do that too. I don't expect to be a top tier player. I don't have time, right? Like, these guys devote some time into figuring out what the best lists are. Like, any schmuck can go online and find a good list. You hear about them all the time. If you listen to podcasts and you're on Twitter and you're on the right forums, you can find a good list to play. But these dudes put in hundreds of games with their armies. They put in so much time. They see the game completely different than I will ever see it. I enjoy playing it, and I think I'm a decent player, but there's no way. I don't even know if I can compete. But the thing is, that doesn't stop me from wanting to go and enjoy these events. So I'm a little nervous. It's kind of daunting, as going somewhere where you don't have a bunch of friends, you're not going with a group. It seems like a scary thing. Like it seems like it could be real easy to go there and not meet anyone and kind of be awkward and not really know what to do. But everyone there was so welcoming and just super helpful for each other. I mean, I saw guys who, just really had patience for the other player and really wanted everyone to have a good time. That doesn't mean that you don't play the game to your fullest. That doesn't mean that you don't expect your opponent to let you take backsies. That's not what it's about. But it's about really allowing your opponent to play at his skill level. And I saw a lot of really, really awesome dudes being solid in that. Another thing with the display boards is the war machines, which I've never hardly even touched. I played one game of War Machine, and I think I was walked through it because I didn't really understand what was going on. But they had these display boards, and I'll put up some video of that, where these gears were moving, and this just like, look at it. Here it is. It's amazing. Like, this stuff was incredible. So this is the kind of stuff that I'm stoked to see. I want to see these guys who have put time into their armies, man. Those painted models, like, there's not even there's some Sylvaneth, like what else, but Sylvaneth armies that were incredible. There was like this Star Dragon thing that, that guy's army was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So those are the kind of things I'm super stoked to see at a tournament, because they're not the things you see every day. You don't see, all your friends get together and you guys are at a certain level. Like, this stuff is a step above what most people can do, and that's really inspiring to see. So going to this, got me pumped to come home and start painting. But overall, I would say go to an event, whatever's like close to you. I want to like check out all of them, of course, and I don't know how that's gonna work. My wife and I have been talking about how I could possibly get, maybe we can ditch the kids with grandma and go and to some of these events. I know there's a big one in Vegas, and there's gonna be a big one here in San Diego in Del Mar up in North County. In October, which my wife and I are talking about going, and she said she'd be willing to sit at the beach while I play some games, and that's always, that's even when I went to the one in Oklahoma, the Iron Halo event. It was in Bartlesville, Oklahoma. Not the greatest tourist spot, right? But my wife sat by the pool and hung out in the hotel while I played all day, and then we came home and we went out and got some drinks and had dinner together and met up with a couple of people. But that's what's great is I think that, obviously my wife's amazing and she's willing to do that stuff with me. But I want to see more of these events. I want to see. I'm excited to check more things like this out. So yeah, let's move on to my game that I played. So I played my second game of Age of Sigmar. I had an army planned. I had 2,000 points planned. I was gonna bring 2 bloodletters. I was gonna bring bloodthirsters. I was gonna bring the murder host out of Blades of Corn book. I'm trying to get a full feel of what this army can do and how a game is played. Right. So it's my second game. I've been gaming a long time, so I can kind of figure this game out, and I've read the rules enough where I'm pretty sure on it. But even that, I'm just a little lost with it, right? So I've been trying to read up and watch games on YouTube, and I watched a few of the ones on Twitch with Warhammer TV, which is pretty rad. Being able to watch those, all the games from the different big tournaments, that's insane. Being able to actually have footage of that, and it's recorded beautifully, and the commentary is fun, and it's all through Games Workshop, which is another wow, this is awesome. So finding people to play can be daunting. I'm in a new city technically. I've been to a few of the game stores and just had to kind of put myself out there and really just make myself talk to people. I'm pretty outgoing, but I do get nervous just walking into somewhere I've never been and saying, hey, will you play this game that I play? But people are always so friendly. So I've met a lot of different people, and I'm starting to get a few different groups to pull from so I can play, because my timing is so limited. I say it over and over, and I'm going to continue to, that I have 3 young kids. We have a 2-year-old and twin boys who are a little bit over 1-year-old, and so that twins takes everything from me. So even just making time for my wife and I to get together and be alone without children it takes some work. So me being able to play a game takes even more work, but it's what I love to do, and my wife understands that, and we talk about it, and we make time for that, as we make time for her to do things as well. So trying to find a game, what's rad now is Facebook's pretty great. I hate Facebook. I hate the political crap and all the arguments and the anger and the negativity. I could do without it all. In this past election year, I deleted a lot of friends because we're not going to be friends anymore, because it's tired of you guys bickering between yourselves. I'm tired of you guys saying all the crap. I don't want to hear it. I'm done. I do enough. I don't need to be constantly in the middle of it on Facebook. So what I've done is I've made my Facebook about hobby. I made my Twitter about hobby. I made, and some other groups I'm a part of. I made it real simple, and that's been helpful. So I'm a part of quite a few groups here in San Diego, in my local area, and then some ones that are more specified towards arming. There's specific Corn Demonkin Facebook page. There's an Age of Sigmar Southern California Facebook page. There's some San Diego 40K Facebook pages. But I really found players in my area, and all I had to say was, hey, I'm new here. Who wants to play? And I had 3 or 4 people lined up to do that when I first got here to play 40K. So with Age of Sigmar, I pulled from that same kind of group. I was like, who plays this game? That's how I played my first game, and then ended up at the Broadside Bash helping out a little bit, and that's how I got my second game. Played a guy. It was funny. We were planning on playing 2,000 points, like I said, and went to a game store we planned on meeting at, and they were having this huge Magic tournament, and there were no tables. So I called the guy, or texted the guy, and was like, hey, this place is full, let's go to a different game store. And so we go over there, and it's packed, but the owner was super generous and was like, hey, here's this 4x4 table. So when he got there, we whittled our list down to 1,000 points each, and it's like he's fairly new as well. He'd played a couple of games, I've only played 1 game. So we were figuring this thing out together. So 1,000 points was fine. So what we did was, I ended up with, I still brought the Murder Host. I didn't bring any Bloodthirsters, but I had the 8 units, so I was able to do all the movement shenanigans with that, which was first turn that I'm on him. Missed my charges and ended up getting obliterated. He was playing Seraphon, real choppy lizard man, you know, and it was pretty funny because I think my small units of Bloodletters weren't really gonna chop through what he had, but we got to play through the full game. Had one skull cannon in there. It shot every time and missed, and that's a little disappointing, right? Like, this thing is supposed to do something, but leave it to a Corn model to miss it shooting, because they don't shoot a whole lot. But it did charge across the field and ended up taking a few wounds off a few things. Ended up losing that game, but I learned a lot, and so that's what I really wanted, was to kind of get a feel of how does this army even play, and like how do these rules even work together. Not having to declare charges but just rolling for it, that's real different. The fight phase going back and forth is pretty rad. With the it's just so different. It's just such an interesting change from what I'm used to with 40K. And I know 40K is about to get some of this craziness, but I haven't played that craziness yet, and I'm just used to initiative orders and, you know, things that we've had for a long time in 40K. So the game in itself, it was real fun. It went real smooth. We played 1,000 points, not knowing much about the rules, in less than 2 hours, and that was phenomenal. You know, as for someone with little time to put into actual gameplay and really needing to decide when I can play, it would be really awesome to just take a chunk of time and say, hey, let's play 2 games. I can go to a tournament and play 3 games, and it not, and these games to not last 3 or 4 hours. And some narrative games are just and that's okay too. That's fun. So I was really stoked to play my first game. I learned a lot about my army. I think I kind of know the build I want to do. I really like this Murder Host situation. Moving that fast across the field is pretty amazing. If I could somehow squeeze a Bloodsecrator in there to get more attacks with those Bloodletters, that would be cool. Can't really decide. I want to do 2 Bloodthirsters. I want to do 2 Skull Cannons. The dogs were pretty rad. 4 attacks each, and then against Psychers, or Psychers, against wizards, or against magic, they can shut it down. But I haven't played with them a lot, so we'll see how that goes too. I love the Blood Tithe system in this game. I think it's way better than the Demonkin's Blood Tithe. The Demonkin's is all about summoning, which is cool. Getting a whole unit of Bloodletters or dogs or whatever in 40K is big time. But being able to launch a skull-shaped meteor into your opponent's army is a little cooler. And then just the different kind of things you can add there is pretty rad. I've I'm really stoked to kind of see how it plays out. Like I said, I've played 2 games. I'm doing all this kind of like, as we do, constantly going over lists and thoughts and how I can make this army cooler and more towards my playstyle. I mean, I think this is exactly what I wanted out of a corn army. Just be fast and murderous. So that's what I'm getting. So let's finish this thing out. So there we go. That's episode 2. Like I said, give me a like, subscribe if you like it, share it with your friends. Yeah, and leave a comment. I'll chat with you. Like, you can hit me up on Twitter, like I said, at Benjamin272727, on Instagram at Benjamin2727. Just hit me up. We can chat. See if you have any suggestions for this. I know it's rough, and that's cool. I know it's I got a long way to go, but I'm having fun with it. And if there's anything you'd like me to talk about or share with my journey into this, my journey on the road to Sigmar, just let me know. Thanks for watching.